Hey folks, this is GreenyXI, welcoming you right back to Let's Play Umineko. This is episode 118. In the last episode, we did the chapter A New Friend, where Sayu met who he believes to be Beatrice, but is actually the demon who looks like Gap that we know. Who it actually is, don't know, but we'll soon find out, I'm sure. So I've decided, if this next chapter, chapter 3, ends up being 20 minutes or less, I'm just going to do 2 in 1, because we're not going to get anyway, I think. So, let's go. Yeah, seriously. Not only was Yasu slow-witted, that kid also lost stuff all the time. But even so, Yasu always had this look, like someone else had taken whatever it was away. It really pissed me off. I reckon it's one of them who was just taking it. That kid just didn't know how to concentrate. If you're always acting that dreamy way without thinking, it's no surprise that you'll do bad work. But it was only like that in the beginning, right? After some time, that kid started concentrating, and all that bad stuff stopped happening. Really? Well, it was all stuff that anyone should be able to do anyway. Learning to do things that everyone can do is part of growing up. I doubt the rest of you were so clever about everything when you first started, yes? You kidding? If we weren't clever, we'd never have been selected to work for the Ashuramaya family. We're supposed to be the elite. The fact that Yasu was young was no excuse. That's right. If Yasu was supposed to learn cleverness by growing up, then that should have been done before coming to work for the Ashuramayas. Come on, that kid worked really hard to balance school and work. I think you're all being too harsh. We were selected because we made it through a harsh process, right? There's no need for us to pamper Yasu. I'm sick of this. I don't get why someone as dull-witted as Yasu was chosen. They all love him, obviously. Being selected as an Ashuramaya family servant was an achievement that all Fukuin children respected. The older servants had achieved glory by making it through the strict selection process. Yasu was so clumsy that they all wondered why that child had been chosen. Of course, Yasu was working very hard for a child of that age. However, before long, the unsatisfied older servants started being mean to Yasu whenever they got the chance. Even after getting used to life on Rokkenjima, Yasu didn't manage to make a single friend. At least, not any human friends. Is it like Maria, where it's like he made up an imaginary friend in a witch? You know, that sort of... Or in a toy, or whatever. Chapter 3. Days in Raptured. Ooh, that could mean anything. Is it where Yasu is just miserable all the time? Is that what this chapter's going to be about? I love the applause they're doing. 9 chapters, okay. I love this format though. I love that the book is done in a book. Oh, yes, that can sometimes happen, and always when you're busy. Perhaps a fairy is pulling pranks on you. It's a witch pulling pranks on me. I mean, I knew I'd put it right there, and when I looked away for just a second, it disappeared. The witch had pranked me again. I left my master key behind. Madam found out, and I got in a lot of trouble. But I always put my master key in my pocket after I use it. Why was it in a place like that? And this is the 3rd time it's happened. The last 2 times I've realised that it wasn't in my pocket and managed to find it before anyone found out. But the 3rd time, Madam found it. I was really mad and frustrated with that witch in the red dress. Oh, Beatrice Sama's pranks can be quite troublesome. But if you're dealing with a witch, shouldn't a ritual of some sort do the trick? A ritual? Kumasawa-san started fishing through the kitchen cupboards, saying, "Now where did that get to?" The thing she finally found and brought to me was a kite string. She stretched it out for me to see, then used a knife to cut off a 50cm piece. Try tying this end to the key, then tie the other end to your pocket button or some other place that doesn't stick out. This charm represents the ritual of the spider web, or it just makes it stick to you so you don't lose it. A spider web? Like the ones the evil spirits of Rokkenjima fear? Good, I'm glad you remember. It is said that the spiderwebs on this island are imbued with magical power and that they can be quite effective at repelling evil. See, if you stretch it out like this, it looks like a spiderweb, doesn't it? Oh, this way, that spiderweb hating Beatrice won't be able to prank you anymore. That does make sense. It really does look like a spiderweb when pulled tight. Since Kumasawa-san says so, it must have some pretty strong evil repelling power. I can just ask her to make several of these kite strings for me. And then I can tie them to everything I don't want to lose. But of course, that wouldn't be very practical. I'd have strings all over me. What about things I can't keep tied to me? Like pencils and erasers. Why can't you keep an eraser? Oh, for times like that, there's a different ritual. All you have to do is make a house for Mr. Pencil and Mr. Eraser. Make a house? You mean build a roof and a bed and stuff? You're not actually building a house, you're giving them one. For example, take the knife I cut the string with. I want to go home. He's such a lonely kid that he wants to go home the moment he steps outside. So if you leave him anywhere else, he'll get lost and start crying. See? We just left Mr. Knife lying there, so he got lonely and started crying. Poor thing. We have to get Mr. Knife home. Mr. Knife's house is right here. See? His whole family of knives is waiting for him. Mama, I'm home. Welcome back, see? Kumasawa-san returned the knife to the knife holder under the sink. She is bloody barking, isn't she? Even though she had done something so ordinary, I felt slightly moved, as though the lost little knife had finished his adventure and finally returned home. Once he slid into the spot he was supposed to be in, all the knives would be together and could have a party. Then Kumasawa-san said we should give them their privacy and shut the door. The poor things hidden by the witch must get lonely easily, so when the witch tells them she'll take them somewhere fun, they're happy to go along with her. How can you stop them from doing this? Take them home right away. Exactly. So put things where they should be right away. They're lonely, naughty kids, so they'll go with the witch if they get the chance. So you must always take them home quickly. Look at that, Mr. Key. He just tied to a string. He's sitting there all alone, crying, asking you to put him in his home in your pocket. Oh, I'm lonely. The voice of the lonely Master Key finally reached my ears. I hurried to pick it up, took the other end of the string and tied it to my pocket button, and put the key in my pocket. See, I'm home. Mr. Key gets lonely so easily, so let's take him home right away after we use him, okay? If you keep making little friends like this, even Beatrice-sama wouldn't be able to prank you much longer. Bloody barking. When break time was over, and I stood up to see what I should help with next, I felt a tug, and the keyring with the master key fell to the floor. Once again, I had left the master key on the side of the sofa and forgotten it was there. The instant I stood up, the string pulled on it, and it fell to the floor. Without Kumasawa-san's spiderweb charm, I would probably have left that master key lying here again. The master key left all alone would have been led away by the witch and disappeared. Oh, that was close. And once again, I heard the master key, who had almost been left on its own, cry and tell me that it wanted to go home. I'm sorry. Come on, let's go back home to my pocket. Yay, I'm home! Thank goodness. I almost got pranked by the witch again. Oh, what's this? What an amusing notion, using string like that. All of a sudden I heard a wild, shocked voice from over my shoulder. It was a voiceless voice. A witch's voice, the kind you can't hear unless you try. Beatrice? That's me, my friend. You forgot about your key again, and just when I was about to tease you a bit. It's a spiderweb charm that Kumasawa-san showed me. Apparently, it does its job well. Indeed. I hate to admit it, but it does. I certainly wouldn't want to touch that. After all, you wouldn't want to put your finger on a razor and slide it across, would you? Oh, that's a scary example. My finger hurts just thinking about it. But good for you. You didn't have to get yelled at by Natsui for losing your key again. You should be thanking me. Why? Because I annoyed you. You learned of that ritual, correct? Thanks to that, you've managed to avoid the screw-up of forgetting where you'd left your key once again. In other words, it's all thanks to me. Don't I deserve some gratitude? I really don't like it, but she does have a point. Because of all the trouble Beatrice caused me, I talked to Kumasawa-san and learned the ritual from her, even without the witch's pranking. If I didn't have that ritual, I would have gone to my next job and left the master key there. If that happened, then surely I wouldn't have been able to find the key, and it would have been a big mess. We call this punishment to make an example. By magnifying your mistakes, I've shown you what they are as a friend. Don't you see how much you've grown? I get the feeling that Kumasawa-san's the one I should be thanking, not you. My, what a thankless job we witches have. Anyway, I win this time. Okay, I need to get back to work now. Very well, my friend. We'll call this your victory. However, I'm bad at giving up. I'll keep watching you, even more closely now, until I can even the score. Prepare yourself. There are still several small items that a person like you is likely to forget. You can't attach strings to all of them. The spiderweb ritual isn't the only one I have. I also learned the take them home ritual. I won't let you have your way anymore. Let's see how well you actually do. Even so, that's quite the bright smile you've got there. When a witch appears, it should be time to cry, not laugh. Your break time's over. See if you can manage to do your job today without slowing down the older servants. Sure, today's Sunday, and the weather is wonderful. I better do my best. Indeed, go to it with all you can manage. Oh, that's right. Sannon's been in a bad mood all morning. You better try and avoid eye contact with her. Sannon. Also, your fortune for the day is water hazard. Make sure you take care when standing near buckets of water. This is you we're talking about. I'll be waiting for you to knock over a bucket and get scolded just like usual. Thank you, Beatrice. Back when I still couldn't see her, I simply hated this prank-loving witch. But now that I could talk with her, it felt as though she wasn't all bad. Of course, there was no need for me to be grateful to her. To the witch called Beatrice, who despises boredom, mocking the misfortune of others is like what eating food is to us. Humans and witches are different, incompatible beings, and yet it felt as though we could become friends. Of course, she's still a witch. I mustn't get careless, and yet not being careless is a good thing. Thanks to the tricks and rituals I use to keep her at bay, I'm able to concentrate. That could hardly be a bad thing. Those things will be useful for my job and my life, even when I don't have to worry about the witch's pranks. I see, so this witch called Beatrice really is like a demon. Apparently it's possible to build up a friendship even when speaking hostilely to each other. Yeah, banter, I guess. Ever since then, there was an incredible change in that kid. Because of all the rituals? Oh, that's right. That child was quite faithful when it came to obeying rules, and flawlessly followed all the rituals I taught. You mean by attaching strings to everything? By doing that going home thing all the time? Yes. That kid would sometimes say it out loud. It was really cute, like watching someone play house with a bunch of tools. Just like a kid. But they were a kid, right? I like how I was saying they a lot. It's not giving the gender away. With adults, you can say something one way and all of them will understand. However, there really are many different types of kids, and you need many different ways to teach them things. If you can find just the right way, they learn quite easily. Some kids learn better when they're punished, some learn better when they're praised. I used to scare a neighbourhood kid and tell him that a fairy would take his things if he didn't keep good track of them. This was the same, except the fairy became a witch. Still, doesn't that sound like fate? After all, you knew this kid was Beatrice's child, didn't you? Yes, I did know. It must have been strange to tell Beatrice's child that the witch Beatrice would play pranks on you unless you put your stuff away neatly. When the child came and told me that a witch was stealing things and pulling pranks, it made me think. I took it as a sign that the late Beatrice Sammer had become a witch and was coming to teach her child to keep track of things. That's why I thought this was the best way to teach that child. That kid started out with a bad reputation for forgetting and losing things, but got a lot more cheery after overcoming those bad habits. By surpassing weaknesses, those weaknesses become strengths, and that's how people gain confidence and grow up. Those small spurts of growth made me feel as though this was my own grandchild. Thank you, Genji-sama. Good work with the big cleanup today. We never know when an important guest might come and borrow one of the rarely used rooms. It's important that you do not slack off in your cleaning. Of course, all of us are fully aware of this fact. I hope that's the case. When I looked around, I found this. Whose is it? Genji took a master key ring out of his pocket. Apparently, someone had dropped their master key. All the servants swung around to look at me, the usual offender. Come on, Yasu again. You shouldn't be so quick to judge. I have mine, of course. There's no way I'd drop something that important. And the rest of you? I have mine. Got it. So it was you, Yasu. Do you still not get it, even after that scolding Madam gave you? You're just so... Normally, I would cower and apologise under their glaze, whether I was guilty or not. However, I've changed, so I proudly held up the key with the string still attached. A device to keep yourself from dropping it? A commendable precaution. Genji-sama's face was as expressionless as ever. However, those were unmistakably words of praise. That's right. You won't drop them anymore. After all, you have your ritual now. That's right. I nodded proudly, a huge smile on my face. The proud experience of that day, of that moment, will be engraved into an unforgettable page in the memory of my young life. So, whose key did Genji find? There was only one servant who hadn't raised their key, the one who was shouting. As she muttered, "It has to be Yasu's key, not mine," and fished in her pocket, her face went pale. You mustn't slack off, even when doing your everyday tasks, but everyone makes mistakes from time to time. I will not press the point, but blaming your teammate instead of reflecting on your own actions is not something I would consider praiseworthy. My apologies. The older servant turned red and hung her head. Behind her, though no one else could see it, was the witch. Ha! They are friends. My friend will not make the same mistake again. After all, even though I've always got my eyes on this kid, I can never find a chance to try anything. But it's a shame. If this girl here has lost her key, I should have tried pranking her long ago. Please don't prank people other than me. Huh? Did you say something? No, nothing. I tried not to feel vindictive, but after being called dull-witted for so long, I was finally able to hold my head up high. On that day, for the first time, I truly felt as though I'd gotten used to life as a servant of the Ashura family. When people compliment you, it feels like they've acknowledged you. It's very important. People can't grow without it. And what happens when people grow? First, it becomes possible for them to find some leeway. Jobs that used to make them scared, that made them worry about whether they were doing things the right way or not, can then be carried out with confidence. That's right. Once things become easy, that gives you some latitude. What happens next? It gives you a chance to enjoy your time more. As Genji might say, it gives you time to relax your mind. If you're tense all the time, that just wears you out. It's good to take it easy for a bit if you can. You mean you learn so much that you can start slacking off on the job? It sounds bad when you put it that way. However, there's nothing wrong with cleverly carrying out your tasks quickly and using your free time to enjoy yourself. Times like that are what enriches a human's life. Come to think of it, Goda plays crosswords a lot between jobs. He also invents dishes with the leftover ingredients. Playing a bit and refreshing yourself can also be good for your efficiency. Might say that inventing dishes combines work and play. Even Genji slacks off when no one's looking. He'll watch TV or swipe some of his master's drink. And he reads complicated books. Even Genji? In short, it's all about cleverly using the gaps between jobs to play. If it goes too far, it can turn to laziness. However, people only become mature when they learn to balance work with pleasure. Simply put, if all you care about is work all the time, you're not fully mature. So that kid learned how to play between jobs. It's hard to imagine that overly serious kid slacking off at work. It started with learning how to interact with people. That kid formed a relationship with Kumasawa, the person who was always kind, and started borrowing books from her and talking together about them. Even I had friends at school, but because of my work, there was no chance to deepen our friendship. Jessica was always kind and modest, but there was Natsui's stern order to think of, so we couldn't play together very much. So at that time, Kumasawa, the one who was always as kind as a mother to me, was the person I felt closest to. Oh, bless me. Kumasawa was old enough to have grandchildren. They couldn't exactly run around and play together. He developed an interest in Kumasawa's hobby. And what's Kumasawa's hobby? Books. It might be hard to believe, but Kumasawa was a huge mystery novel fan. So the kid wanted to find out what sorts of books they were and started reading them. That's right. The nice thing about mystery novels is that you can talk about them while you read them. Even Kumasawa, who already knew the answer, must have enjoyed listening in and hearing what sorts of theories a young intellect could create. Of course, I didn't start right away with the complicated books Kumasawa read. First I asked for recommendations and got books from the school library. I would even bring them into the servant room and read a bit during every break. Every time a new theory popped into my head, I told Kumasawa about it, and she, who already knew the answer, would nod at my theory and grin. That was a lot of fun for me. You're going to take a bath? Bath time's almost over. Just a bit more. Another one of the Indian figures just disappeared. You become a total mystery nut. If you get too excited reading, you won't be able to sleep again. According to Kumasawa-san, the culprit has already appeared. But I don't have a clue who it is. What's that book called? It's by Agatha Christie. Of course it is. And then there were none. I'd like to read that actually. I've only read The Pale Horse by her. It's really interesting. Almost like it's a crime happening on Rokkenjima. That's a really famous mystery novel, isn't it? Wasn't that one a perfect crime? At least until the culprit confesses to the truth in a message bottle at the end. An incredible book. Shh. I'm enjoying myself, so don't spoil me. Go take a bath now. I'll go by myself later. Okay. See you later then. Don't forget to take a bath, okay? He said he would. He. Holding a change of clothes, Shannon smiled amusedly as she left the room. I probably won't be able to read the whole thing tonight. Even though I know that I just keep turning the pages, unable to find a good place to stop. My new joy, the mystery genre, the mental game of thinking and theorising, and also talking about it with Kumasawa-san. All of that left me enraptured. You'd see me have become a complete bookworm. If you do stay up and get sleepy, that just makes my job easier. We can't have that. I better find a place to stop soon. In the ancient times I was born in, pleasures such as mystery novels didn't exist. I've been reading over your shoulder, and this truly is a captivating read. Bito, who do you think is the culprit? In And Then There Were None? Yeah. Who is this unknown, I wonder? Umineko. The culprit who lured the victims to the island, of course. There are no more than 10 people on this island. And unknown doesn't exist. Someone must have stranded them on the island and waited somewhere far away for them to die of starvation. That's not right. He or she is on the island. They're one of the 10 people. I just don't know who. How do you know that there are only 10 people on the island? That's just how it is. Since if you doubt that, you're stuck, or it's just a standard rule of the mystery genre. Or, the culprit owns the island, correct? They may be hiding in some hidden room. Or perhaps they're like me. They may be a 1,000-year-old witch. No. If they went to such lengths to kill a mere 10 people, they couldn't be 1,000 years old. 495 years old at best, I'd say. Closed rooms do appear a lot in mystery novels. And books often use the phrase, it could only conceivably have been done with magic. And here I am, with a witch right before my eyes. It's a complicated feeling. Very entertaining, these closed room murders. Once you read the answer, it becomes a tale of humans, or a mystery novel. But if you take out the part that reveals the answer, it becomes a tale of witches, or a fantasy novel. That's an interesting way to look at it. So it's only a tiny difference between human novels and fantasy novels? If a trick exists, it becomes a human novel. If there isn't one, it's a witch novel. Simply take out the last few pages of the book you're reading, and you might think of Lady Umineko as a witch on the same level as myself. That might be surprisingly wise coming from you. So the culprit of an answerless detective novel is a witch. All the dark places in this world belong to us witches, so I could reign as the culprit for all detective novels across the world. Except, if we reason it out and find the true answer, then the witch is done for. These detective novels can be quite intriguing, it seems. This looks to be a truly entertaining thinking game. That's right. It's a thinking game. You fight against the book, make a theory, and then compete against friends who have already read the book. Perhaps, but it's also a fight between humans and witches. Will you allow for or deny the magic of my closed room murders? Call it the chess match of mystery. So it isn't a book I'm reading, but a challenge against you? Indeed, as Shannon said a short while ago, this story apparently has the truth revealed by a message bottle at the end. So if you can't expose the truth of the tale before that point, you lose. After all, the message bottle just happened to drift somewhere that it could be seen. If it got smashed and sank before anyone saw it, this would be a perfect crime. Or in other words, a witch's crime that's impossible for humans. That's a fun way to look at it. A fight between me and the witch. Yeah. I really like thinking of it that way. Starting now, and until you finish reading. I am Lady Owen, the 495-year-old witch. Can you see through my deserted island murder tricks? I do have one theory. You want to play with me, don't you? I've been reading books so much you've gotten lonely. That too. Incidentally, the game Bito and I played around, and then there were none, ended with my defeat. In the end, I wasn't able to build a satisfying theory and had to learn the truth from the message bottle. Luckily, it did manage to drift into human hands. If it had sunk to the bottom of the ocean, as Bito had suggested, I would have had no way of knowing the truth. In other words, I was forced to acknowledge Umineko as a witch. Mystery. I once thought it was just a genre for novels. To think that it can so easily become a fight between witches and humans, truth and fantasy, just like with Battle and the actual Beatrice, the fantasy Beatrice. I was instantly enraptured by this new game. As the months passed by, I read through all the mystery novels in the school library, and started to read mystery novels for adults. I discussed them with Kumasawa. I discussed them with Shannon. I played my game of theory chess, the fight between witches and the truth. Those days were so much fun. Oh, I am one yet many. Here's to the fun game of the mind that enraptured me. It's like she's standing on the stage, just saying all this stuff as a play kind of thing. It's funny. Okay, 25 minutes. I think I'll go for another one, make it a longer episode. Why not? I fancy carrying on, so let's keep going. Chapter 4. New Days. Ooh. Chapter 4. New Days. The months and years slid by. In my new, more colourful life, I smiled at the spring sunshine peeking through the trees, gazed up at the column of summer clouds, enjoyed the piles of fallen leaves in autumn, and played in the winter snow the few times it did fall. As these days passed one after another, there was a considerable change to my environment. The servants coming from the Fukuin house had switched. There weren't specific grades like in school, so there was no rule saying how long a servant could work before quitting. Each servant made their own decision about when they would graduate from Rokkenjima. Some of those who couldn't stand the environment would quit in as little as 3 days. After all, life on Rokkenjima was strict. It was also strict in the Fukuin house, of course, but there were a lot of Rokkenjima-only rules, and Natsui, the one who supervised the servants, was also very authoritarian. It was probably easy to feel trapped. That trapped feeling, and the money sat on opposite sides of the scale that they used to decide the time of their graduation. And sometimes, someone from the Ashuramaia family would use their influence to secure someone a new job, encouraging them to spread their wings and start a new life. The cycle usually lasted 2 or 3 years. No one decided this, but it was one of the goals most servants shot for, an unspoken rule. However, I was an exception to that rule. I continued to go to school in Onijima while still living as a servant. That year, all the Fukuin house servants quit at once. It wasn't at all rare for friends to quit at the same time as each other. All of my fellow servants from the Fukuin house graduated from the island at once, leaving only me behind. Of course, I was not on particularly good terms with them. On the contrary, it was annoying to be treated like a kid and called Yasu all the time. Though some new servants had come after me, the older ones had already gotten them believing that Yasu loses things all the time. So it wasn't really any more pleasant to have new comrades. Those unpleasant older servants, as well as the ones who started at the same time or after I did, all quit at once. So all those nasty ones are gone. The Ashuramaia family made no effort to stop them from leaving. Adult servants were easier to handle in the first place. The Fukuin house servants were only accepted so that they could be trained. And so, all the servants besides me left, and no one tried to stop them, so does that mean Shannon's gone? But she couldn't have. Later, Yasu. Don't go losing stuff again, says you. I don't lose things anymore. Later. Make sure you listen to what Madam says. Don't you go troubling the next group of servants. You know, it's still a mystery. Why was Yasu recommended for this job? It's even more surprising that Madam let Yasu stay this long. He must have taken some guts to not give up and run away. Keep it up, Yasu. I hate being called Yasu. At the very end, I finally said the one thing I'd always wanted to say to them. I don't think they care. However, they basically ignored me and just picked up their things and left. I guess you never got a chance to become friends with them. I didn't even want to. Yeah. I'm sure they feel the same way, so you even. Let's just forget about those people. They no longer have anything to do with us. So she is staying. Okay. So there's no reason to think about them. Yeah. You're right. I felt just a bit disappointed. I never got a chance to prove to them that I could take care of myself. It's hard for people to throw off their first impressions. That's just how it is. No matter how wonderfully you grow, those people would have probably always called you Yasu and made fun of you. There's no reason for you to want their admiration. Yes. Yeah, you're right, Shannon. I'll completely forget about those people. Good. You have 2 great friends, Kumasawa-san and me. And if you want to prove that you can take care of yourself, prove it to the new servants who are coming. Shannon was exactly right. Ever since that day when I held the key with the spiderweb charm up high, I'd regained my confidence and pride. I'm now the most experienced Fukuin servant. The new servants who come will still probably be older than me, but I need to teach them the ropes as the more experienced servant, and Shannon. Genji-sama even told me to lead the newer servants as a senpai. Okay, I'll give it my all. That's the right attitude. Let's give it our all together. Yeah. Oh, is Cannon coming? Oh, hello. More the... they're using them as sort of placeholders, and they or stick or placeholders to have the same characters, I guess. My name is Asni. Pleased to meet you. My name is Belny. Pleased to meet you. Beelzebub. The newly arrived servants looked a bit superficial. When I first joined the Ashurmaya family, I was incredibly nervous. However, I couldn't see any trace of that nervousness on these girls. That's right. Usually kids with good grades and behaviour were selected. How were they selected? Who did it? The board of directors came and interviewed them, and they were judged on other things like their everyday conduct. So, as long as they acted like good kids in front of the adults, they could pass. Well, there were times that they passed because the adults watching them decided they would do fine. All the children who came from the Fukuin house were highly individualistic. They polished that attitude while they worked as servants, and eventually grew to be servants who would not shame the Ashurmaya family. However, encouraging this behaviour was the role of the more experienced servants. Since I was the only one with experience, it was my responsibility to guide them. What were the new kids like? They were the elite, of course, of irreproachable conduct. I think they were like that when Madam and Genji-sama were around. However, when the superiors weren't around, well, they didn't take things quite as seriously. Are they also going to be bullies? Asni-san, make sure you put your tools on the cart when you're done using them. Yeah. Huh? Sure, sorry. I also have to be alert as a more experienced servant. And Belny-san, you shouldn't set the key down in a place like that. You'll lose it. I'm not going to lose it. I never forget where I put things. When I first arrived here, the older servants would often tell me off just as I had done now. They would probably have been mean and obnoxious about it. I hated that, so I tried to be more gentle when admonishing them, but they wouldn't take me seriously. Listen up. You know there's a witch living in the mansion, don't you? Ooh, Beatrice. Yeah, that sounded just like him. Don't tell me you believe in that too, Shannon-chan. Yes, she really exists. If you leave things lying around, the witch will prank you and hide them. It's true. I've gotten into trouble many times because of it. A witch hiding things? That's totally impossible. After all, there's no way witches could exist. Uh-oh. There's no way they could exist. Witches. I thought they were just pranks. No, it was just easier to think of it that way. Do you think the witch Beatrice actually existed? I don't believe it. I don't know if it was Beatrice, but I do think that something inhuman really did exist in that mansion. Do you think there's a chance that this non-human thing was Beatrice? Ridiculous. I wish I could say it was ridiculous. That must have been a prank of Yasu's. No, not a prank. Revenge. I did think that at first, but... Did something happen that couldn't be explained away as a prank? It was persistent and creepy. What kinds of things happened specifically? Things I set down would disappear as soon as I looked away for a second. Didn't Yasu just hide them? I thought so at first. It was only natural to think that, but I started getting this feeling that something wasn't right. I kept thinking, could such a timid kid really get away with something so obnoxious? Can you tell us what happened? When my keyring disappeared, it was easy to think that Yasu snatched it when I wasn't looking. But when a single key disappeared off my keyring and reappeared somewhere completely different, I couldn't think of it that way. Maybe Yasu just pulled that one key off while you weren't looking? Is that even possible, practically speaking? Hiding the whole ring is one thing, but if you really think about it, taking a single key off the keyring isn't that easy. The keys would clatter together. I was standing right next to them, just facing the other way, get it? If you took your time removing a key when I was that close, even an idiot like me would have noticed. But a single key just vanished without a sound. At that moment I finally realised this wasn't Yasu trying to get back at me, it was something worse. Where did you find this disappearing key? It was in my locker. You can be pretty absent-minded, Balney. You sure you didn't just take that key off and put it in your locker? Why would I take that key off the ring? Have you ever taken a key off or put a key on your keyring, Asni? I tried doing it myself. It's really stiff. I'd never go to all that trouble. There'd be no point. Am I a sleepwalker or something? How could I not remember something I've done? I may be stupid, but I'm not that stupid. I don't forget about things I do that easily. And anyway, I know I had my key with me when I entered the room. Otherwise, how could I have unlocked the door? Okay then. Yasu, careful not to make any sound, slipped the key off and hid it in your locker. That has to be it. That's what I thought at first. I jumped at Yasu, telling that kid not to mess with me. But even as I said it, I realised, isn't there something completely wrong here? After all, on that day, we were cleaning that room with Yasu the whole time, right? There wouldn't have been time for Yasu to noisily remove a key. It was impossible for Yasu. In fact, it should have been impossible for anyone. Maybe the ring was missing a master key when you got it. I already told you, the key really was there in the beginning. I was the one who unlocked that room. So it must have been there. And then I went into the room. I'm stupid, and since I hate having the keys clattering around, I placed the ring on the bed. Then when we finished cleaning, I picked up the ring, tried to lock the door, and it was gone. I may have turned my back on the ring, but it was right next to me. So if someone tried to pull a prank by removing just one key, I'd have heard the clinking. And yet just the key for that room vanished and appeared again in my locker. So okay, let's say that Yasu managed to sneak it away. It's easier to think of that way. But still, how could Yasu have put it in my locker? Yasu and I were together the whole time, right? When I started yelling about it being gone and ran all over the place looking for it, Yasu was with me until the moment I found it in my locker. Get it? I'm telling you, it's impossible. Even as I jumped at Yasu, I began to feel it. I mean, Yasu's eyes seemed to be saying it silently. According to Yasu, the reason things used to go missing all the time wasn't because Yasu was forgetful, as everyone said, but actually, it was because impossible things would suddenly happen, just like they had to me. And... Yasu was with you the whole time, so there was no chance for Yasu to put the key in the locker? Did other strange things like that happen? Yeah, they did. Afterwards, other things happened, and not just things disappearing. Over and over. Of course, I started getting nervous and made sure not to put things down in places like that, but that didn't help. At first I was angry at Yasu, but at some point I began to realise that I was mistaken. One time, a key even disappeared from a ring that I'd left in my pocket. Then I realised, these weren't Yasu's pranks. The same thing that happened to Yasu was now happening to me. Calm down a bit. I think some of those were Yasu's fault, and the others were just you being clumsy. It's true that the mansion's always dark and eerie, and it does feel like the sort of place you'd find a curse. I'm sure that's what made you scared like that. You saw it too, didn't you? Remember that vanishing white shadow we saw in the VIP room that rainy day? Yeah, I saw. But couldn't that just have been Madam or Milady wearing something white? What do you mean something white? Have you ever seen either of them wearing something like that? And besides, that VIP room is always locked. They don't have keys to it. That had to be seen. That had to have been some kind of ghost. No, the silhouette of the witch. So basically, Belny started acting like this. Totally scared. I've got more street smarts than her. So the more scared she was, the more thought that witches were stupid and couldn't exist. Still, I had to be careful about what I said. I mean, I realised that this wasn't something I should talk about carelessly. All ghost stories and curses sound stupid to outsiders, but to the people who believe in them, it's absolutely not a joking matter. It really was no joke. Asni didn't believe a word of what I said, so I eventually stopped telling her about it, and confessed to Yasu instead. I told Yasu, I thought you were the culprit, but it couldn't have been you. I said that something strange was happening to me. What was that kid's answer? Yasu said that the same thing had happened many times already, but no one else believed any of it. In the first place, the older servants always made fun of Yasu, but that kid clearly wasn't as clumsy or stupid as they said. I hated having a younger person tell me what to do, so I always resisted, but Yasu always got our work done flawlessly. I've always thought it strange that people made fun of Yasu for losing things. I was sure then. It existed. Some strange, inhuman thing existed in the mansion. And that thing was the witch, Beatrice. If that's what you want to call it, I'll believe it. Anyway, something that couldn't be explained away by humans' actions definitely existed there. People who didn't understand kept calling Yasu and me forgetful. They didn't get it. They just didn't get it. Still, it did freak you out for a while, but then you got a lot better. After that, all that fuss about you losing things went away, right? So it must have been your imagination all the time. You're wrong. I talked to Yasu, to Shannon, Kumasawa-san, and the others about it, and they said that the witch really did exist. The old servants all made sure to respect her. They said I'd been cursed because I'd stupidly gone around saying that Beatrice didn't exist. So I reformed. Yasu taught me how to give offerings to the doll in the VIP room. I asked Genji-sama for permission and prayed at the shrine by the sea. The VIP room doll, you know, we saw before with Jessica that there was a plate with, was it cookies and something? And then it all stopped, all at once. You were okay, hasn't he, since you stopped making fun of the witch partway through? But if you'd cluelessly gone on making fun of her, you'd surely have been cursed next. Yeah, I guarantee it. You definitely would have been cursed. I guess even I was creeped out by you two. I never said it out loud, but you just don't get it. You really don't. So I made sure to teach all the newer servants well. A witch called Beatrice-sama lives in the mansion. If you make fun of her, you really will be cursed. Belny. So this is where the rumours came, is it? Or properly started. I know Kumasawa was saying them before, but... When things disappeared, that was a sign that the witch was close by and watching us. If you said it was a prank, or that witches couldn't exist, you'd be cursed even more. It was like that for both Yasu and me. When the key disappeared, that was a sign that the witch had appeared. Oop, that went quiet. Oh, it's loading. The game's loading something. New music. Belny-san carelessly tossed her keyring on the bed again, humming as she started to clean. No matter how much I warn her, she doesn't change her ways. She's always making fun of me and calling me Yasu, so she won't listen to what I tell her. Why won't she listen to what I say? You mustn't leave things lying carelessly about. If you lower your guard, the witch will prank you. Look at that delicious keyring. Stop it, please. That's Belny-san's key. Keep your pranking to me alone. Let the others be. With how cautious you've grown, you're no fun anymore. Just kidding. Still, how unpleasant these people are, refusing to listen to my friend's kindly advice. Any insult to my friend I take as an insult to myself. You planning to steal Belny-san's key? Please don't do it. She'll think I hid it again. She thinks my magic is naught but the scheme of a child like you. Very well then. Let's just show her something that would be impossible for a human. Let's show her my magic. Foolish Belny. I'll make you regret not listening to my friend's advice. This flimsy body is not enough. I'm borrowing yours. It's been too long since I've shown you real magic. Let my body return to the land of the living for just a moment. Huh? Ah. A shiver ran up my whole body like an electric shock. From that moment onwards, I couldn't move any part of my body by my own will. Like a moment of shock after a blackout, I could do nothing but accept the fact that I had lost control over myself. All the cells thought my body felt tingly. It felt as though my body had been transformed into someone else's. I realised that the witch Beatrice was using my body as a vessel to revive for a short period of time. There you go. Very nice. That ticklish feeling of the air on my skin. Having a body is simply wonderful. What are you trying to do? Please don't do anything mean. This time, everything was backwards. My words were spoken inside my heart, and the witch's voice was coming out of my mouth. Fear not, I'll give your body back soon enough. I just need to teach her a lesson with a little prank. I won't do anything foolish that might earn you her suspicion. Come, try and remember. Where have you been sleeping? Everything went completely white, and my mind stopped. So did the game, apparently. Oh, there we go. It's when the music's loading. Once again, that tingling sensation slid up my body. I could feel it all gather in the fingers of both my hands and come out the tips of my fingers. It was as if It was an unfathomable, indescribable, unknown sensation. My head went blank, and I couldn't think at all. I could do nothing but abandon my soul to the sensation. I finally understood. This is what it's like to use magic. Come, try and remember. Where have you been sleeping? My finger was moved like a puppet's and danced around as though I was conducting magic. I never knew that having my body move without my control could be so exciting. When Beto lifted my finger as if a string was attached to it, the keyring lying on the bed stood on end. Balni-san didn't notice. Neither did Asni-san. They were fully occupied by their happy chat as they cleaned the room. I doubt that either of them could have dreamed that a witch was right behind them, readying herself to use magic. They probably couldn't even imagine the keyring doing a little dance right behind their backs. It was like a cartoon fairy tale I'd seen once as a kid. The happy way the keys danced and spun made it look as though they had a will of their own. I could feel the fun of making those keys dance with my fingers wash over me. This is pleasure. As I powerlessly watched the witch control me, I couldn't help but surrender myself to the new joy called magic. Whoops, that won't do. If the whole ring disappears, my friend will be suspected again. All we need, yes, we just need the key to this room to disappear. Beto controlled my fingers, controlling the magic, and thereby controlling the keys. The keyring slumped down on the bed, and then just the mansion's master key stood on end. Well now, what should I do with this? Merely erasing it would be quite boring. So, why don't I throw it into her locker? That will give my friend, who's been working here with her the whole time, a splendid alibi. Come, try and remember. Where have you been sleeping? Yes, it was a warm, dark place. The inside of Balni's locker. When Beto snapped her fingers, the key burst and became a gold butterfly. A gold butterfly? I see. It's gold because she's the Golden Witch, who gave the Master all of his gold. And butterflies are scared of spider webs. So it's gold butterfly. The minions of the witch Beatrice are gold butterflies. After flitting into the air, it burst into a shower of gold sparks and disappeared. And then the vanished key was in Balni-san's locker. Though it was far away, in a changing room locker, I could tell exactly how it had happened. It wasn't by sight or by touch, it was by some other sense inside my heart, which couldn't be explained by the five senses. A completely new sensation that I'd never felt before. It was a completely alien concept called magic. A completely unknown pleasure that left me in a trance. That's enough, my friend. I'll give this body back to you. So basically, I don't think the whole thing of magic throughout the game has been real. It's just been, we're getting the answers now. And, it was just Yasu getting a bit, maybe nuts because revenge, like you said. It felt as though I had been spinning through space until gravity suddenly came back and threw me to the ground. Like when you're having a great dream, but you wake up suddenly. And all you remember about the dream was that it was fun. That sort of lonely feeling. Though Beto had been borrowing my body, it was my own body that used magic. I could still feel that sensation in my hands. The keyring over there had danced along with the movements of my fingers. No, that's not quite it. The keyring and my fingers had danced together. That fun, that excitement, still tingled slightly in my hands. Whoops, that was close. Saying this, Balni-san suddenly turned around and picked up the keyring she had thrown down on the bed. She must have realised that I was staring at it. Almost had Yasu complain that I shouldn't leave keys lying about like this. I'd never put something down and forget about it. With a grin, she put the key back into her pocket. However, she still hadn't noticed. She probably couldn't even imagine that just a single key had vanished while her back was turned for a second. It's not easy for a human to do things like that. But with magic, with just a little dance of the keys and a butterfly popping, it had disappeared. Okay, fingertip inspection. Bed, okay. Curtains, okay. Tools, okay. Fingertip inspection, what's that mean? And keys too. See? Nothing wrong, right? Yes, that's good. Then let's go on to the next room. Ah, Balni-san. Could you lock up this room for me? She's gonna notice. Sure. Did Balni-san's key really disappear by magic? Was that fun magic just a daydream I had? I was so scared of that being true that I tested it. Huh? What's wrong? Why are you taking so long? Huh? Huh? Wait, you kidding me? What's wrong? It's not this one. It isn't this one. Huh? What the? What is it? Do you want me to lock it? I don't get it. What's going on? My master key's gone. Just my master key is gone. Why? This ring's so stiff. There's no way it'd come off. I could faintly feel that tingling sensation run across my fingers again. I've missed the rain. We haven't had much rain in this arc. That night, as I gazed at the ceiling from the bed in my dorm room, I looked at my hands. I couldn't sleep. The excitement from the time those keys danced was still there in my fingers. Is this how witches always feel? I have a friend who's a witch called Beatrice. She always used to pull pranks on me with her strange magic. Because I saw this all the time, I thought I knew what magic was. But today, she had possessed my body and used magic with it. The sensation of magic that I finally felt at that time still held my heart entranced. It was a completely unknown pleasure. After all, by moving my fingertips, I could make the key dance as I wished. It was a strange, strange miracle of magic, something humans could not do. I still couldn't let go of that excitement. Shannon, are you awake? What is it? Shannon was still awake. Shannon is always early to bed, early to rise. By getting to bed early, all of her weariness disappears by the next day. She lives a model life, one that all servants should respect and admire. If I want to become a loved, respected servant like Shannon, I'll need to act that way too. However, I wasn't confident that I could do that anymore. I guess I can't become like you after all. What do you mean? This is a bit abrupt. You were my ideal, always. Yeah. Everyone in the Fukuin house loves you and is kind to you. Since you always played with me, you're the only friend I've ever had. And you're also a wonderful servant who can carry out any task in the Ashuramaia mansion, both flawlessly and gracefully. We've seen though, when the Ashuramaia family comes along, she tips tea and things like that, Shannon. I don't know. You were the target I longed to reach. That's what you were to me. Yeah. Let's give it our all together. As they say, perseverance prevails. Everyone will grow to acknowledge you more and more. So let's aim to become wonderful servants together. I'm gonna stop being a servant. Huh? Instead of a servant, I'd rather be a witch. What do you mean by witch? I did, and still do, wish I could be a servant loved and relied upon by everybody. But right now, I want to be a witch. Well, that's, Huh? Shannon was confused. It was hardly surprising. All this about quitting as a servant was at least understandable, but she didn't know how to answer after hearing that her roommate wanted to become a witch. A witch? Beatrice. You see, today Beatrice possessed me and used my body to do magic. That unknown world felt so thrilling. It was much more thrilling when I learned that I'd been selected as an Ashuramaia family servant. It was like learning about a new world. As though I'd been living in a world of darkness all my life, and thought I knew what the world was like. Then finally learned what light was, and saw the world for the first time. It was joy. Excitement. Beto had only used my fingers, made a keyring dance, and turned a key into a butterfly before hiding it in a locker. But I'd understood it with my body. If I'd moved my fingers a different way, the ring could have flown into the air instead of just dancing. And I could have turned it into a scurrying lizard instead of a butterfly. I could have done anything. True, Beatrice's magical power was still weak. It had all happened in the little world behind the backs of the servants who were filled with anti-magic toxin. However, inside that tiny, short-lived world, I could do anything at all. Beto just happened to settle on making them dance and turn the key into a butterfly. But if she'd wanted to, she could have done anything else. The endless sensation of that free, unrestricted power. I could still feel it in my fingertips. Could it be that, along with that sensation, a fragment of that magical power might also remain? I can tell. It's still there. There's still just a bit of it there, along with that sensation. I can do it. I can still do it. Ah. A single spot of golden light suddenly lit up in this dark room. It was right between my clasped hands. When I slowly opened them, I could see a single dot that sparkled gold. What is... Shannon didn't know what the light meant. How could light appear from the palm of my hands? And yet even with this miracle right in front of her, she couldn't understand what it was. She just sat there with her mouth open in disbelief. However, to me, this was just the return of that bit of sensation in my fingertips. The golden dot spread out and became a small gold butterfly. It flapped its wings and scattered gold sparks about like a cartoon fairy. To Shannon, it probably just looked as though a gold butterfly was flapping its wings. Of course, that alone was a miracle that she could hardly grasp. But to me, it was like a remote control plane in the shape of a butterfly. I could control that gold butterfly however I wanted, not clumsily with threads. I could make it flap, dance, play through the air as I wished. I was taking a walk through the air as that little butterfly. The golden glint of it pierced the darkness of the small room as it danced about freely. It was an entrancing pleasure. However, that sensation in my fingertips began to weaken. I could tell that the few magic butterfly scales left in my fingers were going away. Finally, the gold butterfly flashed and turned to dust like a firework run out of juice, falling down and disappearing without a trace. What on earth just happened? This is magic. It's really fun. Magic. Yeah, magic. There was still some magic left in my fingers, so I was able to use it. But if I became a real witch, I'll be able to use it whenever and however I want, to do anything. Now that I've learned how fun this can be, I don't want to go back to being human. Being a servant is just too boring, so I'm going to become a witch. Become a witch? Wait! I've already made my decision, Shannon. It's been fun. I'll give you this room. You can use it by yourself. Later. Goodbye. Wait. Ooh, the story's changing again. Like, a lot of this arc has been very human-based, but we are getting some witchy stuff sprinkling in now and again. As Shannon called out repeatedly for me to wait, a massive planetarium swallowed me up. In a sea of the pitch-black starry sky, I was alone. We are alone here. I'm done acting the part of the servant. I'm going to modify this world. Indeed. Understood. In that case, what will you do? Being a wonderful servant like Shannon wouldn't be bad. But now that I know how fun it is to be a witch, that feels like a boring dream. I can go back anymore. I can't go back. What will happen to Shannon? Shannon can just be Shannon and stay as a respected servant. She'll stay the same. But from now on, it won't be the two of us together, but her alone. Farewells are sudden, is that not the phrase? Very well. Being fickle makes life more entertaining. And what of you? I want to become a witch. I want to become Beto. But I'm already Beatrice. You'll still be a witch, my friend. I'm modifying the world so that Beto is me. So I'll be a witch who is a friend of Beatrice. Pretty much. So from now on, you're a different witch. Is this where she gets her name Gab? I understand. Then what will be my new name? I'll put that on hold until I can think of a new one. You'll be nameless for a while. Sorry about the trouble. Not at all, not at all. This is my precious name we're talking about. You'd better take your time and think carefully about it. You've been Beatrice's friend since you was young and couldn't use magic yet. When we first met each other, you'd always hide my things and make fun of me. I see. And when Beatrice finally learns the way of magic, I became a friend on an equal footing with her. Perhaps that would make me a sort of big sister to you. Yeah, that sounds nice. What are we going to do about how we talk? Beatrice's voice is that of a woman of high station. Should I give that to you as well? Yeah. I'll inherit the way she talks. Indeed, I comprehend. Or perhaps I shouldn't say it like that. I'll need to find a good way to sound like Beatrice's big sister like witch. Friend. Yeah. Or should it be? Indeed. Now there's a nice dignified voice. Okay, then how about... No, wait. Then what of my appearance? Ah, is this why we haven't seen her as an appearance yet? Like other than on the stage outside of the story. Good point. I've got a sort of blood red witch look. Why not choose a different colour for yourself? When Beatrice wanders the mansion at night, she's often seen dressed in white. Yes, I suppose ghosts are classically white. A witch in a white dress. Let's try putting it all together. I need a different look than the witch in the demon red dress. A white noble witch. And like the time with the red witch, I'm thinking about my own look now. So I'd like to make it beautiful and cute if I can. This is where she gets her proper look that we've seen in her. A white dress, a noble look, like one of noble blood but with a dark sarcastic streak. No, she's like a tomboy princess, so her voice is a mix of formality and rudeness. Then the dress should be the exact opposite, to make a nice contrast. There we go. Not quite white, but it's got white on it. Then what of this form? Is this the form of the new Beatrice? How beautiful! Just like a noble princess. I've taken a liking to this form. This will be quite satisfactory. Not bad. You look great, Beto. I like it. I truly do like this form. Now if you can keep this up and give me a wonderful name, that'd be great. If I have to go around nameless for too long, I'll get all sulky. Fear not, I shall find you a splendid name. But first, there's something I must consider. What shall be the form of my magic? Hiding objects and transporting them instantaneously is your theme. So I must think of my own particular theme of magic. When I use magic, gold butterflies will flit about. I'm not backing down on that part. Perfect. That really would make you a golden witch. Then the weaknesses, such as spiderwebs and the sacred mirror in the shrine, will also go to you? Indeed. Even an all-powerful witch needs a few small weaknesses to keep things interesting. Then let us do it like so. If I touch a spiderweb, it will burn me. Silently, a silvery spider dropped down vertically. Beto, now in a new form, lightly touched the silver spiderweb that trailed out behind it. As she did, there was a faint sound of flesh burning, and a thin burn was left across her fingers. Beatrice can't stand spiderwebs. That was one of the weaknesses of the evil spirits Kumasawa-san spoke of. Since the witch Beatrice had revived thanks to the powers of those evil spirits, she had also inherited their weaknesses. Therefore, sacred mirrors are another one of my weaknesses. However, that sacred mirror in the shrine isn't too likely to appear in front of me often. That's not so fun. And while mirrors with sacred power will obviously be a weakness, let's make mirrors themselves a weakness too. You often hear that mirrors have magical powers. Isn't that nice? Sounds just like a witch. If I look at a mirror, it feels as though my magical power is being sucked out, so I shall try to avoid them. Indeed, that could be quite amusing. If I really think about it, I'm bad with mirrors whether I make that rule or not. No matter who I want to strive to be, the only face that will ever show in a mirror is the heartlessly pathetic and realistic face of Yasu. Mirrors, which always force me to face my shabby reality, are something I always want to avoid. That's right. I hate mirrors. I don't want to see my pitiful self. You don't need to decide everything at once. It's fun to build up a world, one little bit at a time. True. I understand. I shall enjoy life as a witch as I slowly expand my world. That tiny, dark room is no place for you to sleep now. Indeed. I'm the Golden Witch. I'm the ruler of Rokkenjima's night, and the nighttime mansion belongs to me. That's where I should make my home. Is it not? A room for Beatrice. Isn't it obvious? Yeah, that's right. That wonderful room on the second floor of the mansion. The VIP room of the witch just has to be Beatrice's room. Well, that's right. From this evening forward, that room in the nighttime mansion shall be my dwelling place. She even looks like a doll. I wonder if that's anything to do with it. Why didn't I think of that myself? Then let's go, Beto. If we're going to drink tea together, we'll need a much better room than that cramped one. Indeed. That room's too crude for entertaining friends and serving tea. We shall change rooms. Let's go, my friend. So, this is goodbye to Shannon. When I looked at my feet, I could see my own dorm room far beneath me. I could see Shannon, who had dashed up to the bed and lay on, and had been saying, "Wait," at the moment time froze. She was as rigid as a doll. Looking down at it from this height, it really did look like a small dollhouse. So long, Shannon. The days I spent as a human, with you as a goal and a constant comfort, were truly fun. If I had never learned the joys of magic and awakened as a witch, everything would doubtless have remained as it was. I was your only close friend too, wasn't I? Please forgive me for erasing that friend so suddenly. As a parting gift, I will erase me from your world. Starting now, this will not be a two-person room. So Shannon never did know about her, or him, Leon, you know what I mean. Starting now, this will not be a two-person room. It will be a single-person room with just you in it. I hope you continue to strive for your ideal, and try to become a kind, reliable servant loved by everyone. Aw, she does. Yasu, a stupid, clumsy servant who lost things all the time, doesn't exist anymore. So long, Shannon. When I mature as the witch Beatrice and stride through the nighttime mansion where I will, I may bump into you as you do your nighttime rounds. However, when I meet you again, it will not be a reunion. It will be our first meeting. After all, though you have heard the rumours of the witch Beatrice, you have never met her. So long, Shannon. Let's meet again sometime and spin up some fun tale. Okay, so does this mean we aren't carrying on with the chapters of the book because she's sort of jumped away from that with magic? Or does it still carry on the story through the book format? Wait. What was I doing? Was I talking in my sleep? Apparently, I had gotten out of bed, stretched my hand out towards it, and said, wait. This isn't the first time I've woken up to find myself saying something strange, but I don't remember ever waking up to find myself out of bed and standing up. Could this be what they call sleepwalking? Am I just tired? Gotta sleep. Gotta get back to sleep. I turned around to face my bed. My bed wasn't there. There was no bed in this room except the one I had just turned my back on. If I'm the only one in this room, and the only bed is the one behind me, that must mean it's my bed. That feels wrong for some reason. The bed sheets are all disarranged, as though someone had slipped out of them. Who did? This is a single-person room with me in it, right? So that there is my bed, and the traces of someone crawling out mean that I was just sleeping there until a second ago. But for some reason, that bed doesn't feel like my bed. However, though all the other kids shared rooms, I, Shannon, was given a single-person room, so it's only one bed, and it must be mine. Am I just tired? I must just be half asleep. School starts early tomorrow morning, and when school ends, I want to go to the mansion, help out with some work, and talk to Kumasawa-san about the mystery novel I just read. Time to sleep. I'm probably just so worn out that I'm imagining things. Good night, Shannon. Just crawl in bed and close your eyes, and you won't have to think about anything complicated. It'll hurt your head. I went back into my bed. It felt a bit uncomfortable to crawl into a bed that wasn't mine. Still, it might just be because I'm getting so sleepy, but it's starting to feel as though this is my bed after all. I'm just half asleep. I am Shannon, a lonely servant. I mess up from time to time, but I want to become a kind servant whom everyone loves. Good night, me. Okay, it was interesting that they made Shannon forget everything. That's could be cruel. Oh, am I one yet many? Oh, I am one yet many. I've had enough of playing the servant. I've had enough of being human. From this night forth, I am Beatrice, the Golden Witch Beatrice, who has lived for 1,000 years. Praise me, servants. Have fear when you are chosen for the night shift. In the nighttime mansion, everything is mine, for that's my time. Oh, I am one yet many. Yes, let our world swallow up everything. It's like the raging seas. Well now, let's drink the mysterious moon dry tonight, with this human book as a side dish. You call this a mystery? You call this a closed room? You call this a crime impossible for humans? Don't make me laugh. With all these holes and weak points, you call this a crime impossible for humans? Is there no splendid closed room magic that can do my name justice? No, not here, not here, not there either. All of them pathetic. It's enough to make one giggle, but now I'm not sure which is a side dish, the moon or the book. If I get tired of mystery, I can change myself into a butterfly. I can flit about the island, the mansion, the vast forest at will. I'll follow those cowardly servants as they do their nighttime rounds. And when they check to see that a window is locked, they'll see me laughing at them in the reflection on the glass. I can be fickle and do as I please. Pranks at night should be a lot of fun. Okay, I've decided. Let's play like that starting tonight. How amusing. What amusement this night shall bring. In the world of witches, the only limits to your fun are the limits of your imagination. My imagination shall become the source of my magical power. Splendid. It shall all be so fun. I shall expand it infinitely, and let it swallow the whole island. Then island's night will all be mine. Oh, how refined and pleasant are the days of a witch. Oh, I am one yet many. Here's to the wonderful world of witches. Such an interesting character. It's finally doing the screen smash thing. That's the first time the arc is done now, I think. It's normally doing just the break points. But it's actually doing that this time. Oh, it is carrying on with the chapter format, okay. Okay then, a new element. Yeah, definitely a new element with the witchiness. So, I didn't expect it to be that long. I was expecting like 2 20-minute or 2 25-minute episode things. So, this has been Greeny XI. Hope you've enjoyed. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you again in a bit when we see how the magic affects things. See you in a bit, folks.